there is still people that is joining us, so let's give them just one last minute, and then we can start with this, I think, a really interesting session of this third and last webinar of the Titan webinar series. So it's time to start. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Titan webinar series. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Massimo Magaldi. I'm a technical manager at Engineering Informatica. I am the Titan project coordinator and project manager, and I will be your host for this session. Joining me today are two project partners, and I'll introduce them right after giving you a brief overview of what we'll be presenting today. So let's start with I was not showing the screen. Well, here we go. So today's session will explore the theoretical foundation behind the detection of textual disinformation signal implemented in the Titan project. And as you'll see shortly, the identification of related disinformation tactics. We'll start with a brief introduction of the Titan project, its innovative approach to empowering people to recognize manipulation strategies, and a quick overview of the tool available on the Titan Intelligent Coaching Service platform. Next, we'll dive into the anatomy of manipulation, the methodology for profiling tactics, and take a closer look at the most relevant disinformation tactics profile. We'll also give a high-level idea of how the Titan chatbot generates coaching dialogues that help users think critically and spot these tactics. After that, we'll move on to a live demonstration showing Titan in action within a realistic educational scenario. Finally, we wrap up with a question and answer session, giving you the time to share your question and thoughts. Just as you have read into the chat, the session is being recorded and will be available afterward. So please use the chat for comments and for the session of the question and answer. And we will address your question during this specific question. Now, let me start with a brief overview of the Titan project. Titan stands for AI for Citizen Intelligent Coaching Against Disinformation. Our core mission is to harness artificial intelligence to combat disinformation by enhancing citizen critical thinking and media literacy skills. This initiative is funded by the EU and the UK under the Horizon RAI program and spans 39 months, and right now we are actually at the end of our journey. The Titan Consortium brings together 12 partners from across the UA and 2 from the UK. It has been carefully assembled as a fully multidisciplinary team, combining technology providers with experts in social science and humanities. This ensures that every dimension required for the successful implementation of the project is fully addressed. Now, let's move to take a look at the context and the driving forces behind the Titan project, the challenges posed by disinformation, and the urgent need to strengthen critical thinking and media literacy. This will help us understand the motivation that shaped Titan's approach. So, disinformation is increasingly recognized as a major threat to democracy. According to the World Economic Forum Global Risk Report of 2025, misinformation and disinformation are among the most pressing global risks for the next 2 years. And the challenge is real. 58% of people worldwide say that they are concerned about their ability to distinguish what is true online. This has been reported by the Reuters Institute for the Study of Journalism in the last report of 2025. So is the core of this the envision of Titan? Titan envision an AI-powered coaching system that empowers individuals to adopt a critical thinking approach to identify disinformation. And is the core of the Titan innovative approach. We use AI not to give verdicts, but to enhance critical thinking and media literacy skills, helping users recognize disinformation tactics. The system engages users in a Socratic dialogue, guiding them to question sources, analyze language and emotional cues, and look for evidence. Instead of telling users what's true or false, Titan provides structured questions that empower informed judgment. Now that we have explored the vision behind Titan, let's look at how this vision takes shape in practice, starting with an overview of the key component of the Titan platform. First, we have the Titan Coach, an AI-based chatbot which uses the Socratic dialogue to guide users. It customizes the dialogue according to the critical thinking assessment, which is something that is optional, and the disinformation signal detected. Then we have the critical thinking assessment, a smart questionnaire grounded in Fascione's well-known critical thinking model, specifically designed to measure your critical thinking skill when dealing with disinformation. Next, the Academy provides learning material focused on media literacy, helping users build essential skills. And finally, we have the collaboration module, a space where users can work together using an argument mapping tool, practicing structure and reasoning, and sharpening their critical thinking skill. All these components are designed to work in synergy, creating a powerful ecosystem that helps individuals think critically and spot disinformation. And you'll see how this works in our next demo. The Titan Intelligent Coaching Service platform comes in two editions designed for different user journeys. The first is the individual edition, which is accessible through a mobile app or browser plugin. It's quick and easy to use with no registration required to start interacting with the coach. So this edition offers only the coach, which is the core system of Titan. The second is the community edition, built for structured environment like educational settings. This version includes all the Titan components that I have described before. And together, these two editions makes Titan flexible and adaptable. Whether you are an individual user looking for quick access or part of a community working in a structured environment, such as an educational setting. And now, let me introduce the next speaker. Oh, sorry. Panos Kapetanakis is with the Institute of Informatics and Telecommunication at NCRS Demokritos, a key contributor of the Socratic methodology and dialogue design. He developed the tactic profiling system and the knowledge base behind the AI. He will be discussing the media literacy approach developed by Demokritos in the RAG approach and the anatomy of the disinformation tactics. Then we will have Tim Valier, which is a project lead innovation and product owner education at VRT, the Flemish radio and television broadcasting organization. He has led the pilot of the Titan system and developed some lesson packages about critical thinking, like the EduBox that you will see in a while, to support educators and facilitators. And he will give a short demos of how the platform can be used to empower the critical thinking skill in a controlled environment. Now, without much ado, I will give the floor to Panos to start with his presentation.
Thank you, Massimo.
And I will start. Okay, now you are ready to share your screen.
Yeah, thank you, Massimo. So I will share my screen.
We are almost there.
Good.
Yeah. I don't know if you want us to move to switch to the full screen video. Maybe it will be better.
Right. Good.
Perfect. So the floor is yours, Pans.
Yes. Thank you. So, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us today. As Massimo said, my name is Panos Kapetanakis. I'm a researcher at the CSR, Demokritos, and over the next 20 minutes, I will walk you through disinformation and its tactics. Today, we're not going to talk in vague terms about fake news. The term is now kind of outdated and simplistic. Today, we will learn how to identify the signals of disinformation using the Titan methodology. Before we dive deeper, here is an overview of the tactics we are going to use today. Sorry. Is it okay? Massimo, does the screen appear?
It looks great, Panos.
Good. So here is an overview of the 6 core tactics that we will be analyzing today. Think of this as our map for today. Once you see the full set of tactics, everything that follows will start to connect more naturally. So to understand disinformation, we first need to speak the same language. We often confuse disinformation with errors or fake news. But disinformation is not a random error or a bad moment of journalism. It is a strategic engineering, an instrument deliberately designed to target our emotions. To analyze it, we need to look at 2 terms. First, the tactics. This is the methods used to spread deceptive content. And second, the signals. Just as a criminal leaves fingerprints, disinformation leaves linguistic patterns within the text. This is exactly what we are looking for. So very simply, disinformation is the content, tactics are how it spreads, and signals are how we spot it. So how is the disinformation trap set? When we analyze a suspicious text, we need to kind of X-ray the text on 3 levels. This is in accord with the profiling method that we, the team of NCSR, Demokritos, develop to profile the 6 tactics. So it all starts with the source, the who. Who is speaking to us? Are they really who they say they are? Is someone impersonating an expert to steal the trust? And next, we look for the agenda. What is the hidden motive? Is it political instability? Is it financial profit? And then comes the what, the message itself. First, it is the narrative. What rhetorical tactics or logical fallacies are they using to make the lie look like the truth? Finally, is the psychology. Which button are they pushing? Are they targeting our fear, our need for safety? And this brings us to the next critical question. Why we fall for disinformation? Why do smart, educated people fall victim to disinformation? The answer is not about intelligence. It's about the way our brain is wired. First, as according to psychology, the brain is a cognitive miser. It is stingy with energy. It prefers the easy first answer, what we call system 1 thinking, over hard analytical thinking. Second, we suffer from motivated reasoning. We act like lawyers for our own beliefs, and if we see a headlines that confirms what we already believe, we accept it without checking in order to protect our worldview and identity. And third is emotional vulnerability. Fear and outrage literally deactivate the logical part of the brain. When we're angry, we cannot think critically. Manipulators know this and they flip that switch on purpose. So now that we know why manipulation works, we move to see how it works. This is our field guide to the tactics. It is all based on our tactic profiling work. So we shift from theory to detection. Here is the Titan recognition process. We first evaluate the source. We decode the agenda. We examine the narrative. We analyze the mechanism and then spot the psychological trigger. When we apply this cycle, we stop being passive consumers and become active analyzers. We don't just read, we evaluate. So now we go into the 6 tactics. First, let's begin with the first tactic, polarization. Its agenda is loud and clear, to divide. The goal is to destroy the middle ground and force a conflict. How do they do it? Instead of nuance, the narrative pushes a false dichotomy, a binary mindset where you are either with us or against us. You hear phrases like traitors versus patriots. At that point, it's no longer about the issue, it's about the group identity. It's a tribalism, as we call it. And what are the signals? First, demonization. The other group is not just depicted as mistaken, they are portrayed as dangerous, immoral, or evil. When fear and anger take over, critical thinking shuts down. Second sign is existential threat. Problems are exaggerated to seem life or death. Our way of life is at risk, they say, or our values are being destroyed. In this narrative, neutrality becomes suspicious, and moderation is framed as betrayal. So, the takeaway question of polarization tactic is this: is this content asking me to debate a policy, or is it training me to hate my neighbor? Let's go into the second tactic, the trolling. This tactic spans from individual pranksters seeking attention to organized troll farms aiming at destabilization. The strategic objective remains the same for both the pranksters and the troll farms. It is disruption. They don't just want to break the conversation. In many cases, they want to break the peace to generate chaos and drain trust in public dialogue. It often begins with a shocking or fabricated claim designed to trigger fear, moral panic, or moral outrage. Once emotions flare, coordination amplifies the effect. Bots and fake accounts may hijack hashtags in what we call flooding, pushing the content so widely that it feels like breaking news. Astroturfing simulates grassroots support by making a small group appear like a mass movement. On a personal interaction level, trolls employ derailing to pull the discussion with off-topic comments, or they use sea lioning to keep you debating endlessly through insincere "I'm just asking questions" or baiting you to provoke anger so the conversation collapses. So the key question for recognition of trolling tactics is simple. Is the person here to discuss or to trigger panic or to distract or burn down the conversation? Next is pseudoscience, misinformation wearing a laboratory coat. It hijacks the authority of science not just to sell miracle cures, but to push political agendas, fringe ideologies, or financial scams. The goal is to bypass your critical filter by looking like an expert. Instead of rigorous data, pseudoscience relies on anecdotes, stories like my cousin tried it and it worked. It also weaponizes technobabble. This is using complex jargon like quantum frequencies, not to explain concepts, but to silence you. They want you to think, this sounds smart, so it must be true. Also, watch for the Galileo gambit. When challenged, they don't produce evidence. They claim persecution, saying the establishment is suppressing us. It offers also grandiose certainty, promising simple tricks for complex problems, often combined with cherry picking. The fallacy of showing only the data that supports them while hiding or ignoring everything else. So, the takeaway question about pseudoscience is this: is this claim inviting independent testing, or is it just mimicking the language of science to hide the lack of evidence? Now we move to the conspiracy theories. These are narratives designed to erode trust in institutions and official accounts and information. These often follow a familiar script. The script is this: a powerful group secretly controls events, such as truth is suppressed, and only a select few know what is really going on. We see patterns like hidden agendas, anonymous insiders, secret documents, and suppressed evidence. Notice the repeated language: deep state, global elites, big pharma, shadow government. They give shape to complex problems and they position followers as enlightened heroes who see what others do not see. That sense of special knowledge is psychologically rewarding, which is why conspiracies spread easily. These claims are also unfalsifiable. Lack of evidence becomes proof of a cover up. They often say there is no evidence because they hid it. If a theory grows stronger when evidence is missing, it is belief, it's not analysis. So conspiracy theories promise order in chaotic world. But stripping away complexity does not reveal the truth. It's just a fairy tale for adults. Discrediting. Here the agenda is defensive. If they cannot destroy the message, they destroy the messenger. The goal is to damage the reputation of critics and fact checkers so they never have to engage in real dialogue or with the actual evidence. What are the signals of discrediting? First, they accuse the accuser. Watch for ad hominem attacks. These are labels like fake expert or idiot or paid shill or sellouts. If you make the speaker look unreliable, you don't need to address their argument or point. Second signal is guilt by association. They often link the target to a controversial group or figure to legitimize them by proximity. Third is dismissive tone. Mockery and irony replace reasoning because making someone look foolish is easier than proving them wrong. And finally, is manufactured outrage and dogpiling. This is when coordinated accounts swarm a target, not to discuss, but to overwhelm and silence them with noise. So the takeaway question of discredit is this: are we debating the idea or are we attacking the person who said it? And finally, is science denialism. Here, the agenda is protection. Science often reveals truths that threaten powerful industries like fossil fuels, for example, or specific ideologies. To protect these interests, they don't need to prove the science is wrong. They just need to manufacture doubt. How do they do it? First, they magnify disagreements. They take minor academic debates and exaggerate them to claim that scientists are fighting and there is no consensus. Second is false balance. They present a fringe voice as equal to the global consensus in order to confuse the public. Third is impossible expectations. Often denialists demand 100% certainty from science. Since science deals in probability, they treat any uncertainty as proof of failure. And finally, cherry picking. again, this is to select the single data point that fits the narrative while ignoring all this mountain of evidence against this data. So the takeaway question here is this skepticism seeking answer, or is it manufacturing doubt to protect special interests or ideology? And with that, we finish the 6 tactics, and now we will take a look at how Titan works behind the scene, under the hood, as we say. The architecture of the Titan media literacy architecture is separated into 3 functional parts. First, we have the detection module. Think of this as the system's eyes. It reads a piece of text, identifies which signals appear, for example, whether there is a logical fallacy or a misleading narrative pattern. Once a signal is detected, the retrieval layer activates. This is where the system searches the knowledge base for the relevant material. It searches for warnings, possible fallacies, even counter-arguments. And finally, the third is the generative module, which acts as the voice of the system. It uses what was retrieved from the knowledge base to produce a response that doesn't just answer the user, but guides them to think critically. So instead of simply saying true or false, Titan explains the mechanism, so turning every encounter into a learning moment. And to support that process, the knowledge base behind Titan must be, of course, rich and structured. Here you see the core components of the knowledge base. First, we have the explanations, which break down how each manipulation tactic operates. Then we have the media literacy tips, which help users identify specific linguistic signals in the text. We also include warnings. These are red flags that indicate when content might be manipulating emotions or reasoning. And perhaps the most important part is the preemptive refutations. These are short reasoning blocks designed to inoculate users before they encounter harmful narratives. They don't attack the user, these refutations, they give them tools. So when they later see a similar claim online, they are already mentally prepared to question it instead of absorbing it passively. That's how resilience is built, not by blocking information, but by strengthening interpretation and critical thinking. Now let's look closer how Titan thinks. This slide shows the Socratic logic mechanism, a kind of coaching engine. The system works by mapping signals to questions. If it detects a particular pattern, for example, conspiracy secret plot, Titan responds with a guiding question such as, does this claim assume that a powerful group is secretly controlling events? The key here is that the system encourages reflection rather than confrontation. It doesn't say, this is wrong. Instead, it invites the user to examine the reasoning behind their belief. And when support is needed, the system can bring in structured guidance, similar to how we'll see in the example in the next slide. So here is a 5G example in practice. A user pastes a message saying, for example, 5G is a secret weapon for depopulation. The system reads it, recognizes conspiracy framing, and detects signals like secret plot and nefarious agenda. So instead of rejecting this claim outright, Titan responds with a probing question such as, does this claim rely on a hidden group operating in secret with a harmful agenda? If the user asks why, Titan explains the logic behind conspiracy narratives, that they, for example, often assign intention to unrelated events and assume perfect secrecy. If the user doubles down on belief, Titan gently presents counter-reasoning, the refutation. That, for example, large coordinated plots are extremely difficult to keep hidden, and that extraordinary claims require strong evidence. So the journey is gradual. No attack, no shame, just guided thinking. And finally, let's close with building resilience. The goal is not to make us cynical, it's to help us become discerning. Critical thinking is a skill, and like any skill, it gets stronger with awareness and practice. A few habits make a difference. Slow down when content triggers emotion, especially anger or fear. Check the source. Who wrote it? Who benefits if we believe it? Then look for context rather than snapshots or quotes. And ask yourself why you feel a certain way after reading something. If you are pushed into outrage, suspicion, or urgency, that's often intentional. Real issues are, after all, complex, so be wary of posts that promise simple answers or force binary thinking. Resilience means pausing long enough to choose how we respond instead of being pushed into a reaction. And that pause is where manipulation loses its power. Thank you very much for your attention and time. We can later discuss any questions.
Thank you, Panos. I don't know if there are questions about what you have presented, but I just want to say that I personally think that it is the of the three webinar, this is the most interesting one because actually we have described the idea, the concept behind it under the hood of Titan. As I said, the chatbot, the Socratic coach, is the core of the vision of Titan, because the idea was to have this, as you also have said before, we are not going to fact checking or telling what is false or what is true, but we guide with proper questions that are gathered through the analysis of the text, and we also ask questions including the content of the text. So it's not abstract question, it's questions that are related, strictly related to the content that we are analyzing and that the user is checking and analyzing together with the chatbot. So I really think that these are the main great result of the project. And I want to say there is a question. No, you are the one that raise your hand, Panos. So if no question, we can move and I can give the floor to Tim, who is going to show what we have actually created and implemented in a scenario which is related to how to use all the tools very quickly, of course, all the tools that we have created for Titan that can work synergetically in a structured environment like the educational setting. So I give the floor to you, Tim.
Yes,
Please.
thank you, Massimo, for the introduction. Yes, hello. Yeah, I'm Tim. I work for the VRT, and I will give a short demo of the Titan system. Like Massimo and Panos have said, yeah, critical thinking is an essential skill, but it's also not so easy to teach. It is hard to think critically and to dive into an article. It is work. So, and especially around sensitive topics and disinformation. But with Titan, I think we have developed several functional tools to empower educators and facilitators in teaching critical thinking in the fight against disinformation. But of course, if learners and teachers want to use it, it's paramount that educators can use the tools in a useful way, but also with some flexibility. I think that's what we have done. And I will show you one possible journey, how they can use Titan. But of course, there are different ways how you can use the different building blocks of the Titan system. Yeah, the first step in that journey is that learners need some background and a safe space to learn about this information, tactics, and signals, especially if they want to use the Socratic dialogue as a method, because there it's all about making you vulnerable, keeping questions and think critically about a topic. And for that step one, to give some background and let them learn about critical thinking, we have produced a specific lesson package called the 80 box. It's actually an educational media format, and I will show it in a minute, in a second, actually. No, I've shared the wrong one. Yes, normally now you can see my presentation. Like I said, 80 bucks, it is an educational package. It is about and in that 80 bucks, we try to introduce a topic, in this case, critical thinking, in 2 or 3 hours. And in 80 bucks, you should see it as a kind of, we combine actually different ingredients from storytelling, pedagogy, and technology. And we mix learning activities like quizzes, like reflection moments, moments to debate, but we also include videos, games, slides, and infographics in a fun, engaging way. And we try to incorporate some implicit learning techniques, actually, and storytelling techniques. And actually, an AudioBox always consists of 4 chapters. I call it the 4 C's: connect, concept, concrete, and conclusion. In the first chapter, we try to connect with the audience, introduce the topic in a fun and engaging way. Also, talk about the why. Why is it important to learn critical thinking in this case? And in the second chapter, we introduce some new concepts. What is critical thinking? How you can identify it, how you can use it. But I think the most important chapter is chapter 3, the concrete, where the learners need to implement what they've learned. And this is actually where Titan steps in. Here they can use the Titan coach or the argument mapping and use it, do it, learning by doing. I think that's quite important. I will now give you a quick tour. I will quickly go through the ADBox critical thinking just to give you an impression of what it is and how teachers can use it or educators can use it. This is an online version, but we also have a PDF that they can download if they want. And it just, easy to use. Just go to the next one. Like I said, it's important that you start with something engaging. And also, first we let them think about how critical am I at this point? And hopefully after the 8 books, maybe their opinion has changed. We also have some videos. In this case, it are some known Flemish people that also have done this question, have given this question: how critical do you think you are? And it's a way to compare you actually with other people. And then I will not go to the video in this session, but I just want to show you this. First, we start with some exercises, and exercises actually try to stimulate your system one thinking. Also, Panos has said it. What disinformation is actually doing in most of the time is just trying to influence you and trigger that system one thinking, that you don't think rationally but emotionally. And actually, you can try to solve this riddle, but your first reaction will be something, but actually the solution here is the left smartphone costs 1,050 euros, which is 1,000 euro more than the right one. So together they cost 1,100 euro. So hopefully everyone was right, maybe not. Something to think about. And we have some other exercises, and that's just to introduce the 80 box in a fun, engaging way, and also to trigger a reaction. And then there is room for a class discussion. We have some videos, again, where the people show their results. And here we talk a little bit about fast thinking and slow thinking, because it's important that people are aware of how their brain works. But also, try to use it in a context. But also it's important that, why it's important to think critically? How can we use it in our daily life? It's by reading the news, by scrolling your phone, checking emails, in everyday conversation. It's important that you have a reflex of thinking critically. Here are some examples. And then also we give fun summaries, infographics that helps you repeat the knowledge in a different way. That's also important to construct knowledge, is that you see it in different modalities. And then we talk about critical thinking. The 4 layers about critical thinking. There is an exercise that you can do, but I will not go too much in detail. I just will skip to the chapter 3. Some other exercises. Leap of faith, for example, both language, emotion is also a pitfall. And then there is an exercise. Again, an infographic, and then we in chapter 3. So they have learned about critical thinking, they have discussed it, there were some exercises, and then in chapter 3, they need to test if they have learned it in the right way. And here, I think Titan can play a role. This is the platform. I already am logged in. There is a way to have a tour to see what is what the platform is all about. And then actually we start with the Titan coach. And here there are 3 ways to actually dissect this information. You could load up an article via URL. We also have some proposed articles that we have curated that whether you can test on, but you can also load article manually. And that's what I will do. I have already have an article in mind. I will. You have the texts. There is also a title. Start conversation. And now the system is thinking. The eyes are working, like Panos has said. It's analyzing the article, trying to detect the signals and adapting the conversation, the dialogue, based on the identified signals. Okay, here we are. There are ways to that you can only read the article or show the chat. Those are some customizable options. And now, let's start. Hi there, I'm Titan, an AI-powered virtual assistant designed to help you think critically and analyze texts, including identifying potential disinformation claims. There are some shortcuts that you can use, but we will start. Would you like to see an example? Yes, please. Also, this is also a small technique that we are using. It's called the inoculation theory, where we give some information, some infographics about other disinformation signals. So hopefully when they are using a different article or analyzing a different article, they already have some information in the back of their mind and can use it. Also, we also include micro lessons. So if they want to learn more, they can click on it, or they can go to the academy to look into specific micro lessons. Would you like to examine? Yes, please. Apparently, he has detected that there is some potential trolling, and he's saying what kind of signals we can look for. For example, provocative true insults, inflammatory jokes and memes. Does this article post make extreme or exaggerated claims just to provoke reactions? And I think they do. For example, there is in the text, be prepared before it's too late with some emojis. Yeah, that's for me. I'm a little bit doubting about that. So let's see what the system has can tell us about this example. Thank you. Apparently, I'm correct. And also some polarization techniques as well. Yeah, and now you can see it is detecting that identifying different kind of signals. It gives you some extra information, and then we can go more into depth. Yeah, for me, I think this title is for me some emotional language to provoke fear or anger. You're highlighting a key phrase from the article. Starting jobs your attention. It's a great observation. However, let's bring our focus back to the original question. Does the entire article rely on emotional language to provoke fear or anger? We are looking at the overall tone and how to various elements work together. Um, let's see what it has to say. I have to go in yes or no. Okay, sorry, my fault. And indeed, it also identifies pseudoscience. Could be by the cherry picking of evidences, unexplained complex terms, lacking scientific validation. What does it have to say? Yeah. I have here maybe something that is not working. Okay. I'm curious to see what the system has to say now. And this is a claim. Yeah, it's a big claim, but where are the evidences? Yeah, without solid proof. And now, yeah, this is the short version. We also have a longer version of the chatbot. And now we are at the end, and it gives us actually a summary, a breakdown of the article and the discussion. For example, the article reliability verdict. It also has indeed has identified that the source is of concern. Is it credible? There were some outraged claims. There is some polarization, some emotional escalation, and some pseudoscientific claims. Voilà. And so it can give you a kind of summary also to have a repetition, have a way to know where we are. And this is actually a short introduction of the Titan coach in helping you identify disinformation signals in a critical way. So this is actually an exercise that you can do on your own individually. And then you can could have a class discussion. But there is also a way to work together as a group. For example, a teacher has given the edu box. Students could do the Titan coach, but they also could do another exercise, and this is called the collaboration. There's also a tutorial if needed. I already have created an argument map. It is based, also important that you are saying what is an argument map, how can you navigate, how to add content. So there's a short tutorial, and it is the claim. You need to start with the claim. It's the same claim from the article. So the article posits that the Third World War is inevitable and that Belgium finds itself in an acute existential crisis. Do you agree with these measures that they are willing to take? And then actually students can find some arguments that are pro or contra. For example, yeah, I think, yeah, there is some truth in the article because increasing geopolitical instability, the article correctly refers to real conflicts, just as the war between Ukraine and Russia. Okay, that's something, but can you back that up with some evidence or an article? And for example, here was an article in our Flemish news website that states that there are some real conflicts going on. But also, yeah, contra argument is, yeah, but the source is not so reliable. It is in a free hosted WordPress. Yeah, I don't believe the source of this article. Another pro could be, yeah, regardless of the likelihood of World War War, the advice to keep an immersion kit at home, yeah, it's maybe a good thing. Yeah, it doesn't do any bad. But then again, like we have detected in the virtual coach, it uses sensational language and fear-mongering, the use of terms like dark, shadow, world order, and also the use of emojis. That's also something that's not it's not a good sign for the article. And so you have the ability to add other claims, for example. I agree or disagree. For example, if I add another disagreement, I can just, I already have prepared prepared one. For example, there's a lack of nuance regarding World War III. While tensions exist, the claim that the Third World War is imminent is a speculative opinion of the author. Okay, I can also add external knowledge if I want. Now I can just create it. And also to not make it too chaotic, first of all, it is hidden, and then people can see when there is a new item and just can click on it and see what it is. And this is, yeah, how you can build arguments around a statement, and you have a very visual overview of the pros and contras. And yeah, it helps you build arguments. It helps you think critically in a group, collaboratively around the topic. And then, of course, at the end, there is also the possibility to do a critical thinking assessment. This is also important for teachers or educators that they can evaluate. They have prepared the lesson, they have done some exercises, and that they can evaluate the critical thinking assessment. And that's also something we have in place. And this is with some instructions, but also some statements about disinformation sharing and so on. And this is the end and conclusion of our short demo. Hopefully, you found it interesting. And if you have questions, please let us know.
Thank you very much, Tim. I think and I hope that people will be. We presented all the tool in a very quick way, as you said before. But I like also to stress this idea that there is no free lunch when it comes to developing critical thinking skill. It takes time, patience, and cognitive effort from the user. And now the times are probably not the best times to have people, because we are stressed. We are used to have quick answer from everything, using internet, now using chatbot like ChatGPT. So that's why a part of the creating the chatbot and the core as we presented today, but also tools like the EduBox that we have also implemented in Titan, which is for now it's a sort of let's say a first prototype. But the idea is that the EduBox can become a framework that the educators and facilitators can use in order to create the product settings. Because as Tim has said before, to teach critical thinking and also to learn and to improve critical thinking takes time, and you have to put in a specific context. So you can create workshop when you can use all the different tool in a proper way, and in this way you can have a very effective improvement of the critical thinking assessment. We know that there is this issue that people want to have very quick response against the fact that you have to spend time in order to be able to increase by yourself your ability to recognize this information. And this actually is the challenge that we faced during this project. And I believe we have done the most that we can be able to realize, actually. And I think also with a good first result. So I don't see any question. I don't know if there are questions in the chat. No, I don't see anything. So probably if no other question are, we can move to the end of this webinar. Let's see if someone is going to raise his hand or ask something. No, that means that hopefully we were very clear and yeah, giving all the needed information in a very clear way. So let me thank you everyone to have joined us. These are our contact. The first link is to the link to the project, to the website of the project. These are our personal contact, and you can use the QR code if you want to reach the Titan website project, and when you can find all the links and usable information to also the resources to better understand how Titan works and what can you do, and if you are able to use it. Don't forget that for individual, it's possible to use the plugin for all the browsers that can let you use only the chatbot, but you can find all the links and how to reach and install the plugin just following this link and navigate through the Titan website. If no other questions are, it seems so. So, well, we can conclude. So thank you all for joining us today, for your attention throughout this session. Of course, if you have further questions, please contact us through the or directly or through the contact in the website. And thank you very much again to Panos and team for their presentation and explanation. And yeah, feel free to reach out to us after the webinar, and have a great day.